Hey ladies, how are you all doing? Happy Wednesday today. I'm here a day early instead of Thursday, so I hope you all can be here to join me. I just got back from a trip to Brazil, and so I'm nice and refreshed and ready to share some great information with you all today. So welcome, nice to have you here. Today we're going to be talking about ditching the dairy, so talking about doing a dairy-free challenge and how that can really be of benefit for you. So if you are a cow, then the following is not going to apply to you because dairy is actually good for you because you're a cow and dairy comes from cow's milk. But if you're a woman just like me, then hang on to your hats because the following definitely applies to you and is going to really help to enhance your health in many different ways. So ditching dairy. So I'll just briefly tell you my own story. I grew up very sick. I had severe allergies and asthma. And no matter what was done for me, nothing seemed to help until I got dairy out of my diet, and it was amazing. So I'm really passionate about getting dairy out of your diet because not only has it helped me so much in alleviating allergies and asthma that were debilitating. I mean, I couldn't even go out of the house if like the grass was being cut. I would go outside and I would have an allergy attack. I couldn't breathe. And so one of the ways things work when you're thinking about allergies, I always use maybe you've heard me say it before, but my backpack analogy, where like we're all born with different size backpacks. And those of us that have really strong constitutions, think 100-year-old grandma rocking on the porch, drinking Jack Daniels and smoking a Marlboro. She's got like this huge backpack, doesn't matter what she does, she doesn't become symptomatic, and she just goes through life as breeze. And then there are other people, such as myself, born with these teensy-weensy, itty-bitty backpacks. And so if there's allergens from environmental, and there's stress, and there's infection, and different things, and then you eat foods you're sensitive to, the backpack overflows, and that overflowing shows up as symptoms. And in my case, it was really severe allergies and asthma. And so knowing that personally, and then having thousands of experience with patients who I've taken off dairy, and it has just changed their life. So I'm really excited to talk about this with you all today. And if you are still eating dairy, to encourage you to take it out of your diet, as we're going to talk about for a short period of time, and see how that works for you. And so what could be some of the issues that you're suffering with that can be caused by the ingestion of dairy? So like I said, could be allergies or asthma, so lots of respiratory issues, even just like chronic bronchitis, things of that nature. Could be joint pain, definitely skin issues, eczema, rashes, dry skin, acne. Could be sinus issues, chronic sinusitis, definitely digestion, so bloating and gas and diarrhea and all those uncomfortable things that you don't want to deal with can be caused by eating dairy, and so many other things. But those are a couple of the real top ones. Even like emotional issues can be caused by eating a food we're sensitive to. And dairy can be really addictive. I know when I sit in an office with a patient and say, you know, what do you love to eat? What's your favorite foods? And they say cheese or ice cream, that they are going to fight me tooth and nail when I say I'd like you to give up dairy. And one of the reasons is that the casomorphins, the protein in the dairy, has like an opioid effect. So you actually get addicted to it. And I'm sure some of you who are listening are shaking your head like, yeah, don't even mess with my dairy, because it's an addiction. And so with any addiction, like with any food addiction, like sugar, usually the first like 48, 72 hours are the most difficult. It's kind of, you're going through withdrawal, and then it gets a lot easier. So sometimes you just gotta suck it up and roll with the punches for a couple of days to get really amazing benefits. And so other benefits of giving up dairy would be, it would decrease your risk of breast cancer. So there have been some studies, and for your hubbies or partners or sons or brothers, it can reduce the risk of prostate cancer. So be sure to share this information with the men who are important in your life to you as well. But there have definitely been some studies showing, and it might be just from the pesticides in the cancer or the IGF-1, so the growth hormones that are shown to increase cancer development, but there's definitely been some correlation with ingestion of dairy and breast cancer, so that's another good reason. Another one is that ingesting dairy will increase oxidative stress in the body. And so why is that? Because milk is one of the main sources of D-galactose, and that really helps to drive inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. And so what does that look like? Well, it looks like having a shorter lifespan, neurodegeneration, decreased immune function, so serious things that you really want to avoid. And so by, like I was saying before, with, you know, whether it's from the environment or where we're getting these things that stress our body, it's up to us to empty the backpack by the things we have control over. So if there are trees in your neighborhood that are constantly flowering and you're sensitive to them, well, you could move neighborhoods, but maybe that's not possible, and so you can't really do much about it. You're not going to go around and cut down everyone's trees. But the things that we have power over, one of them, the main thing, being the food we eat. And so that can really take a load off our body. And so I know one of the questions that you probably are thinking is, well, if I don't drink my milk or get my dairy products, how am I going to get calcium? And so the Dairy Council has a great lobby, and they really drilled it into our head at a really young age in school, that you need dairy, you need to drink your milk to get your calcium, or your bones are going to fall apart and so forth, and you're going to end up with osteoporosis. And that's just not true. There are a lot of great foods that you can eat that are dairy-free and high in calcium. So think about poppy seeds and sesame seeds and celery seeds and chia seeds. Think about leafy greens like collard greens and kale, and my favorite, okra, where I was just in Brazil, and okra was on the menu every day at the posada I was staying at, and okra is just delicious, and you don't get it a lot here in the States, and if you do, often it's like down south where it's breaded and really not healthy. So look into okra. Think about beans and lentils, and spinach is another leafy green. It is high in oxalates though, so oxalates will bind calcium and not make it as available, so just be conscious of that. Sardines and salmon, high in calcium. Almonds are the nut that's highest in calcium, and figs are the highest in calcium as far as dried fruits go. And not a huge fan of dried fruits because they're high in sugar, so if you are going to eat them sparingly, and a great thing to do is soak them overnight. It kind of takes away the sugar. It changes the way they taste, kind of makes them plump and puffy, but it's healthier for you. Rhubarb's another good one, as are edamame beans and tofu, if that's something you eat and you're not sensitive to soy. Just be sure it's organic, because you don't want it to be genetically modified, and all the soy, if it's not organic, is going to be genetically modified. And so don't worry that you're not going to get enough calcium. Just make sure that you're introducing foods, if you're not already eating these, that are going to get your calcium to you. And so when we're talking about avoiding dairy, what do we actually mean? And so the number one thing is milk, obviously. And so if you are a milk drinker, you're not going to be drinking milk. And a lot of times you might not, sit down and just pour yourself a cold one of milk, but you may be putting cream or milk in your coffee or in your tea or in your cereal. So you have to really think about these things when you're avoiding them, because I once had a patient who I love dearly, smart lady. I told her to avoid corn, and when she handed me her food diaries, I saw that she was eating popcorn and corn tortillas. And so in her mind, it was like, well, I can't eat corn on the cob or corn out of the can, but she didn't really realize or think about it. And so we have to really think about these things, because sometimes we overlook things even though they're very obvious. And so no cheese, that's a big one. And that includes cream cheese and cottage cheese and ricotta cheese and any kind of cheese that you could think of, Parmesan cheese. No sour cream, no yogurt, no custard, no pudding, no ice cream when it's summer, no whey. A lot of you may drink protein shakes, and so whey is dairy, and so you'd have to avoid that. And when we're going to start talking about alternatives, one of the things that causes the allergies is the protein in the dairy, so it's called casein. So if you are going to start buying dairy substitutes, you need to make sure that it's casein free, because sometimes it might be like a rice substitute, but it'll have casein in it, and so it's still the same milk protein. It's still going to cause problems. So you want to avoid casein. That's C-A-S-E-I-N, important to avoid. As far as eggs and butter, I don't usually, I mean, eggs can be an allergen, so that's a separate story. I don't usually lump it in with dairy. I usually do that separately. And as far as butter, butter is like 80 to 82% fat, and like I just said, it's the protein that typically gives you problems. And so butter, like I said, 80 to 82% fat, 17% water, it's maybe like 1% protein. So my experience with myself, with my patients, is that butter typically is not an issue. So you can try and do the dairy-free challenge and still eat butter. Please do not eat margarine. It is very unhealthy. I want you eating real butter. My favorite is Kerrygold. It's a great one. You want to make sure it's, you know, grass-fed. And so I'm just talking about now avoiding the other things I said. So the milk, the cheese, cream cheese, the yogurt, the ice creams, the sour cream, the whey, the casein. And so what are some things you can eat? Well, there are different kind of dairy products. And so, like, for example, goat's milk. So a lot of times, I did this for my eldest son, actually. I didn't want to give him formula and cow's milk, and I breastfed him, which is what I always recommend everyone do. But many of us, when we were born, breastfeeding wasn't in, and so we weren't breastfed, myself included. And so if you're having a baby, I highly recommend and support breastfeeding for as long as you can. But my son weaned himself at like 10 months old, and so I ended up putting him on goat milk for a while. And so goat milk is it's like the closest molecularly to mother's milk, and it has A2 casein. The casein is the protein instead of A1, which is what's found in cow's milk. And so it seems to be tolerated a bit better. And so sometimes you find that, you know, you can't have cow cheese, but you're okay with like some goat cheese or sheep cheese or camel or buffalo mozzarella. And so when you're doing the challenge, so let's just think about it for a second. When you're taking something out of your diet, and I'm going to recommend you do it for 30 days, what you do is you turn your body into a laboratory. And so you take it out for 30 days, and now your immune system is clear of it. There's no reactions going on. You're most likely going to be experiencing wonderful things. And more often than not, the patients who are arguing and pounding their fists and fighting with me that they didn't want to give up dairy, at the end of 30 days, they feel so much better that, like, they don't even want to talk about going back to dairy. They're like, I'm over it. I've gotten used to other things, and it's a non-topic. But say you really missed your cottage cheese, or say you want to try goat cheese or sheep cheese. After 30 days, that's a good point where you can eat something and eat it during the day, all day long, and then wait 3 days and see, do any of your symptoms come back? Does your nose fill up? Does your skin break up? Are you bloated? Are you experiencing respiratory issues? And so then I always say, you know, we're all kind of like big girls here. Then you can see, oh, wow, when I eat dairy, it makes my nose congested. And then you have a choice. Do you want to deal with that and stress your body, or are you just going to avoid it? When I first gave up dairy, I had a hard time giving up creme brulee. I used to like to eat creme brulee when we'd travel a lot, and it was like a fun dessert that I liked. And I would eat it, and then I would suffer. I wouldn't go into asthma, but my sinuses would get congested. I would get bloated. And I was making a choice, and this is many years ago, and I don't make that choice anymore. It's just not worth it to me. And so it's a really beautiful thing to kind of turn your body into this laboratory. And so I recommend going off all the dairy, including the goat, which you may be able to tolerate, and waiting till the 30-day period And then if you're like really wanting goat cheese, you can test it and see how you do. And so kefir is another type of dairy. It's fermented, so it's lower in lactose. Some people can digest it more easily because of the fermentation process. It does have a higher predominance of probiotics, but that's another one I would say, you know, to really know, like, let's just take all dairy out for 30 days, and then, like I said, you can start to challenge. And so another thing that I want to say, I was talking about butter, I forgot to mention ghee. So I love ghee. It has no casein, no lactose. It's a process to make it yourself. When I took my Ayurveda cooking classes, we did make it, and it is a process, or you can just go buy it at the health food store and not have that process, up to you. But that's a great thing to use for cooking and for putting on your food. So what are the things you can eat? So, and I went into my fridge and took out some stuff so I can show you. But basically, coconut is a great, well, before I even go into the substitutes, you don't have to do substitutes. I just want to like clear the air on that. So you can take out cheese and you could just, or take out milk and you could just drink water, my favorite thing. Or you could take out cheese and you could just have hummus on a sandwich instead of a piece of cheese. And instead of eating ice cream, you could have a piece of fruit, or if you want something sweet, you could have a cookie or a paleo snack or something like that. And so you don't have to substitute, but I do like to make you aware that there are substitutions, because maybe you really do enjoy having a bowl of ice cream at night and you're just not so happy about substituting that for an apple with some almond butter. And when I first went dairy-free, I mean, I'm talking like 20, 25 years ago, these substitution things did not exist. And now it's just busting at the seams. There are so many things that you can substitute. And so it really makes it a lot easier for you. Sometimes it's an easy way to go, like to substitute, because then it's not just totally out of your diet. But the things you substitute with, like some of them, you know, the ingredients, it's processed, so it's not the best thing, but it's certainly going to be better for our project here of getting dairy out of your diet and lowering your immune response and lowering issues that you're having. So like, for example, and so I was starting to say things that you could substitute with can be coconut, which, let's see, so Delicious, and I've got a thing of their coconut whipped cream here because it's super yummy. And so Delicious is a great company, and I have no financial claims with any of these companies, but they make so many different things from, actually I have another thing right on here. This is a mozzarella cheese that's made from, let's see, what is it made from? It's made from coconut. Most of their stuff, if not actually, I would say all of their stuff is coconut substitute. I'm a big fan of coconut substitutes. And this kind of melts, so sometimes I make a paleo pizza. Today I made polenta with some sauce and cheese, little mini pizzas. And so Delicious, I find, because you have to remember, if you're used to eating cheese, these things are going to have a good different taste. I find that the So Delicious products are yummy and they taste great, and they have ice cream and they have yogurts, and so you're going to have to play around. I wouldn't go to the store and buy like in bulk. I would try like one thing, see how you like it. Your taste buds may be different than mine, and my patients always tell me my taste buds are weird. They like the way my herbs taste and things like that. But So Delicious is a great company, and they are dairy-free. They make a lot of different things from coconut. This is another one. This is a pea milk that I just discovered. It comes in vanilla and chocolate, and dairy-free, has 50% more calcium than milk. It's got DHA, omega-3s, which are really good for your brain. And so it's soy-free, nut-free, vegan, gluten-free, lactose-free. It's everything free except taste. It is not taste-free. I think it tastes yummy. So big fan of this. So you could use this for milk. But if you go down the aisle, I mean, I've got a couple more here. Here's a organic coconut milk. This one is a almond cashew milk. You can get rice milk. You can get macadamia milk. You can get coconut milk, hazelnut milk. I'm not a huge fan of soy. I mean, there are a lot of soy substitute products. I'm not a big fan of soy. I don't recommend it for my patients. So, I mean, you can use soy, but I prefer you use these other things. Here's another company, Daya. They make a lot of their products, got some coconut in it and tapioca. This is a cream cheese, and I think it tastes good. They also make shredded cheese. They make frozen pizzas. They make all sorts of stuff. And so you could still have a gluten-free bagel and schmear in the morning with Daya cream cheese. If you're wanting ice cream, I just tried this. This is a non-dairy peanut caramel ice cream. I don't really know much about this company, but I like to try new things so I can recommend it to patients. But if you go down the aisles of like the health food store, or here we have Sprouts, or of course Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, not so much. They have a couple of things. Trader Joe's does have, I think it's a coconut ice cream with a couple of flavors, actually pretty tasty. But the bigger health food stores, I mean, if you go down the alternative milk aisle, you have like 17 different choices. If you go down the ice cream aisles, you have so many different choices. If you go down the yogurt aisle, you have so many different choices. Here's Kite Hill, another one of my faves. These are made from almond milk. And remember, I said almonds are the nut that's highest in calcium. This is another cream cheese. They also make gouda cheese. They make yogurts. I'm a big fan. They make sliced cheeses. I love Kite Hill. They're a little pricey, but they taste delicious. Here's another one that I just got. It's a vegan cheese wheel, Miyokos. This made from cashews. Also has some miso and rice and coconut in it. And so I haven't even opened this yet or tasted this yet. If you want chocolate pudding, you can get chocolate pudding made from hazelnuts. If you want a cheddar style dip, this is made from, where are the ingredients? Potatoes, cashews, carrots, onions, vinegar, also extremely delicious. And so I could just go on and on and on. I just took a few things out to give you an example. But as you can see, there is no shortage of things you can substitute. And so how do you get started? What I recommend is that you kind of maybe like do a diet diary for a week and kind of just see and then highlight in where you're getting your dairy. And then, you know, start to substitute, start to have a plan. So I want to set you up to win. And so one of the best things to do when you're doing any kind of removal of food or any change to your diet or lifestyle is to really plan it out and be prepared. So if you're always drinking a cup of coffee and you want milk in it and you're stopping by the coffee shop and they don't offer milk, you know, you're going to need to bring a little bit of yourself, own a dairy substitute so you can put it in, or if you're going to try and drink your coffee black, or you just have to think about these things so you're not stressed or rushed and reaching for the wrong things. So I recommend seeing where you're getting your dairy, planning out, okay, I don't need to eat dairy here, or this is something I'm really going to want to substitute, and then going to the store. And maybe before you even start on your 30 days, trying the things so that you find a substitute that you like. So once you make the change, you enjoy it and you're not like disappointed or bummed that, oh, I don't like the way this tastes. And you're going to want to revert back. And the most important thing is commit. This has got to be 150%. So there is no, well, I'm going to take out this but eat that, because what happens is when you eat it, your body, your immune system is going to react. And if you take out some but then you eat a little, your body might actually have a hyperreactivity. So you've got to really be committed, go for the gusto, and take it entirely out. If you're eating out, it can be done. I travel all around the world. I don't eat dairy. You have to sometimes let them know. Obviously, you shouldn't just assume because it says on the menu that you're getting chicken and potatoes and carrots that there's no dairy. They might have a sauce where they put dairy in it. They might use milk for the potatoes. So you just need to communicate with your waiter or waitress. Let them know you have an allergy to dairy and you need to make sure your food is dairy-free. And so this can be done no matter whether you're eating out or staying in. Obviously, when you stay in, you have more control over your food, but I know many of you eat out, and so I don't want you to use that as an excuse that you can't do it. And so kind of before you get started, take track. What are some symptoms you're having? Are you tired? Do you have brain fog? Do your joints hurt? Are you overweight? Because weight loss can also come when you stop eating dairy. If you're allergic to it, food sensitivities will elevate your weight. You know, how's your skin? How's your bowel movements? Kind of take charge, make a list, do the 30-day challenge, and then kind of look at that list, make another list of where you're at with those. You might want to grade it on a scale of 1 to 10 to begin with. I often have patients do that, and then you can kind of see where it went to. And then let me know, because like I said, I don't like to use the word guarantee, but I can almost guarantee that you're going to have something good happen if you take dairy out of your diet. It's very rare that I don't see benefits when I have patients do the 30-day dairy-free challenge. And stay open. It might be, you know, you're doing it because you really want to get rid of your bloating, and maybe the bloating doesn't go away, but your headaches and your migraines, and you lose 10 pounds. So we just kind of have to see how it goes. So if you have, are there any questions? Just hello, Michelle. Nice to have you here. And so if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to hear a report at the end of 30 days. I believe in you. You got this. You can do it, and it will enhance your health. So go get them, dairy free, and I will see you soon. Be well. Bye-bye.